ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc., brought to you by Geico, with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
An eighth consecutive win at Soldier Field, 36-10 over the visiting Carolina Panthers with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and welcome to episode, Tom, are you ready for it? 100.
Oh,
100.
benchmark in our lives as podcasters.
Did you ever think we'd make it to
Yes,
100?
of course. I'm waiting for 1,000.
All right. This Bears Etc. podcast is brought to you by Geico. I know you and I spoke yesterday. I haven't had as much fun calling a game in a long time. I know the Bears had wins late last season and everything, but it just felt different yesterday. And the way they distanced themselves from the Panthers and the use of so many names that we can go through here today and just laid the hammer down and then just finished the job.
Well, last year was fun if they picked up where they left off. And they're able to do that because I know we talk about 8 wins at home and all that, but you think about the wins this season. They're putting themselves in a position to possibly be a playoff contender, and I think that's the most exciting thing about it because, yeah, it was an improving product at the end of last year, and it's a continuously improving product this year. There's new bodies in place on the defensive side of the ball. There's new bodies in place on the offensive side of the ball. So if they continue to get better, I think the most fun games are yet to come, and that's down the road. So, 8 is nice, but 14 is better.
Yeah, and this is a home game in London. I mean, if you're looking at things, I know it's a road game, but it's a Bears home game.
Right.
So, get this one down because if you just look at home schedules, and if you're playing 8, that's the case this year, but only 7 at Soldier Field, you got to go 6-2 at least when you're talking about playoff conversation. And now with the 17 games, 7-1 would even be, that's significant. And it sends a message not only to that locker room that you're starting to develop a home field advantage, which you and your gang of marauding players did. You had a home field advantage at Soldier Field like nobody's business. The place would erupt. You guys were owning it. The defense thrived. The offense, took control of the game at every opportunity and controlled the clock. And I think that's starting to happen here.
Hey, man. We started this home field advantage in England in 1986. We had more fans at Wembley Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys did. That whole town was filled with Bears jerseys. They wanted to come and see Walter Payton at practice. They wanted to meet William Perry. There were stars all over our practice, and that was an ultimate experience for all of us. But it's about the defense, and they travel well. Whether they're in England, they're in the United States, they're home, or on the road. And I think that's got to be a key ingredient when you make trips like this. You got to go out there, and your defense has to go and put a performance that complements the offense, and the offense continues to get better.
Tastes like Miller time. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, let's get the status at Hallis with Bears head coach Matt Eberflus. All right, thanks again, Matt. Appreciate you carving out some time for us because there's a lot of activity here at Hallis Hall today. Everybody's packing up and leaving, so thank you for keeping us on your schedule, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Did it feel good? This is like the best example I can make is you stretched your legs a little bit. It wasn't one of these one-score games yesterday. A little room to breathe. That doesn't mean it was any easier or anything like that, but 36-10's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I was really proud of the guys, the way they operated at halftime, right before the half. Really good about complementary football. We go for it on 4th and 1. We don't get it there. Defense, turns it over right there. We score right away. So we wanted to score before the 2-minute, warning there. So that was good by the offense doing that. So we had plenty of time. And then we stopped them on downs. Tyreek made a really nice play on the sideline there at 4th and 3. And then we get a couple of big plays, and score, before the half. So I thought that sequencing there was really good, in terms of, just complementary football. And we really executed the plan that we wanted to do with, I think it was 2 minutes and 49 seconds to go. So it was good.
Yeah, these are one of these games where you can't just pick. I mean, there are one or two things, you can pick out, but so many things. You just popped into my head about Tyreek. 2 terrific pass breakups, diving for the ball. And you can go right down all 3 phases. Every aspect of it was significant. But let's dig into Caleb, because I kept saying during the broadcast, the way he was at the line of scrimmage, just being in control and making checks and making sure everybody, and granted, can't do that on the road necessarily. That's got to be silent. But just in command, felt very comfortable, calm, and poised. After watching it again and speaking with him this morning, would you say that was the feedback?
Yeah, he likes to operate that way, on the line of scrimmage, and that's works for him and it works for our offense, and we can do other things too. You saw at the end of the game we did a nice 4-minute drive too. So, but it's important to be able to get there, assess what's going on with the defense. You get an early look at what's going on because they have to line up. So if we're on the ball ready to go, they got to line up. So you can really see coverage, contour. You can see check or no check or run the play. So I just think it's really comfortable. And again, we weren't. It wasn't a hurry up offense. No. It was just basically like a muddle huddle, making sure that we're on the ball. And I thought the guys did a really nice job. And he likes doing that. It's something that he's done in college. Something that he's very comfortable with, moving at that pace, calling plays at that pace. And they executed well yesterday. It was good.
Is that something he asked for?
Yeah, him and Shane
nice.
Are always talking. What's good for getting the momentum going. I know we had a 3-and-out to start the game. So I think that was really just the plan to be able to get into there. And we were gonna do it sporadically during the course of the game, and we just decided to do it on the second drive.
All right, you kept talking about it, and we all love it because you got to run the football, right? Got to establish the run, which you did, and it doesn't matter how it happens. You did, and didn't that set up the pass and set up things like that 42-yard screen and just the distribution of balls to the skill positions Tom talked about. That second drive of the second half where 4 different guys caught the football. And now you got your defense, they can't cover everybody, and it opens up everything. How important, no matter how many yards you got in the run game, was it to get that established and moving forward?
Yeah, that's a big part of it because you got to be committed to the run. So we believe in just being committed all the way through the game and making sure that we're doing that because that sets up a lot of things. So the screen game is one of the things that sets up. And when you saw that with Cole, you saw it with Swift, and you saw it, all the way across the board, and that's an every play thing, the screen. So it's set up by the run, but when you look at those, all 22 tapes, you'll see the receivers running down the field with great speed to create separation, between the DBs, the linebackers, to make sure we have space, and that's important. That's the guys do that, and they do it at a high level, and then the downfield blocking. Particularly on the Swift screen, you had Rome down there. You had, Coleman was down there. The center was all the way down there. Keenan was blocking well.
And somebody ran 35 yards, didn't have to hit anybody.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was good, but those are signature plays for us because we believe in hustle, we believe in finish, and we believe in doing that, for each other. And that's a great, message or a great, you can see it. And I'm going to show that to the guys in the team meeting.
Same thing. I'm sure you showed this at the team meeting too, and you talk about backside wins championships, but the defensive hustle. So the big hit by Brisker. The ball's just sitting there. Who picks it up? Big 99, Javon Dexter. Maybe no one was going to pick it up. Maybe they just thought it was an incomplete pass. That's a fumble recovery. Great job. Great job by Javon right there.
Well, it's guys believing and trusting in each other that we're all going to punch the ball out, every time we get a chance, on the ball carrier. So we have to be able to get out of the stack. Rushers get out of the stack. Pressure players get out of the stack and pursue with instantaneous reaction. We don't want any slow up there. We want them to see the ball thrown and then go. And that's really to beat everybody else to the ball because when the ball does come out a few times a game, we're ready to get it. And coaches do a really good job of practicing that. We practice that every day. You guys see us out there how we practice, and it's important that we recover the fumble the right way too. And I think Javon did a really good job of recovering it, but staying right where he was. A lot of times people will turn and roll over and expose the ball again. You can't do that. So the guys, we practice that, and the guys do a nice job with it.
And the pressure, dialing it up in every way possible, including Kyler Gordon again on the nickel blitz. Love that. How much of an impact I know the mindset is 4 rushing as 1, but we talked about how important Javon would be if he took a step, and he's got 10 hits on the quarterback already. He's got 6 sacks over his last 10 games as a Bear. How much of an impact is that making on the rest of the pass rush?
Yeah, it's been really good, and the guys have been 4 equals 1. So it's been the addition of Taylor, Sweat of course, and now Javon coming on, and then the pressure players from the secondary. I think that those are all factor into it with Kyler and Brisker and Edwards and Tremaine. All those guys are really good blitzers from the second level, and I think that helps when you have the ability to show those things and then pull out, and those 4 rushers are coming at you. And they do a good job of working with each other.
You don't have time to look at stats. We know that, but I did. And the NFC North right now, listen to this. Leading the NFL by division, the top 3 teams in takeaways, Packers, Vikings, Bears. The combined number is 44 takeaways, 61 sacks. Third down defense, Bears leading the way at 3, Minnesota 5, Detroit 7. This is arguably, at least through 5 games, is the best defensive division in football. Does that shock you a little bit or not?
No, it doesn't.
What does it mean? What does it mean for this division?
Nothing. It doesn't mean anything right now because it's really early, but it will mean something at the end, that's for sure. And it's just about being consistent, really focusing on yourself. But it's no surprise that we have a good division. You can see that going into the season.
Anything that you always want to work on something, but I'm thinking the run game still, you want to defensively make sure you lock that down?
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was a little bit better yesterday. It was a little bit tighter. Obviously when you give up a big run like that, your averages aren't going to be what you want. But we have to continue to work on that, and we will this week.
Just staying as simple as staying in the gaps, because you guys are one of the best tackling teams. I don't know if you're going to tell me, but, did you have any missed tackles yesterday? Maybe a couple?
Yeah, we had a couple, and that's really about being in position. Making sure you know where your help is, and being able to sprint tackle guys and hamstring tackle guys like we talk about. But again, the tackling's been good, but the run defense is just something that we got to just keep tightening up.
All right, let's talk about the offensive lineman who always got to be ready to go, and Bill Murray was. Karan Amagaji for one, and our guy Doug Kramer getting a lot of attention. He's blowing guys up out of that position. I'm thinking this will remain the case. What's your feeling on all that, and what should we know about Bill Murray? Yeah,
Bill did a nice job of coming in, and he played really solid. He was solid in protection. He was solid, in the screen game. He was solid, in the run, his run combinations. So it was really good to be able to see him come in there and it not be too big for him. He was poised. A lot of times, guys will be in a hurry when they go in there first, and he wasn't in a hurry. He was.
And what do you mean by being in a hurry?
Just overset and overzealous. He was calm and he was cool and he was collected and he did his job, and that was good to see. Really good job by the offensive line coaches, Chris Morgan, getting those guys ready to go, and then of course Matt Pryor switching over to the other side again. He did a nice job as well, and offensively we just got to clean up some of the penalties that we had in the second half. I know we didn't. It was put us behind a little bit. That's why we stalled out a couple of times because of the long distances, and we got to clean those things up.
All right, you didn't want to talk about London at all. Now you have to. Are you feeling pretty good about the setup and the arrangement? I know you talked in the postgame show and thanked everybody that's involved. It does take a village to get this thing going, but the way it's set up, once you get a night's sleep, it's going to feel like a regular week up at Hallis Hall, the way it's all timed out, seems like.
Yeah, and that's the idea, right? To get over there, give the guys off on Tuesday. Coaches will be game planning the whole time there, when we have the time to, and we're doing it right now. And so we'll be all set with that. And then Wednesday's going to be a little bit different. It'll be a walkthrough Wednesday, and then Thursday will be right on normal schedule. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then going into the game.
Can't sleep on the Jags. I know people think, oh, okay, well, they just put up a lot of points and career passing day for Lawrence, and they've got some guys that can wreck the quarterback, too, on the edges.
Yeah, I just got a chance to look at them here a couple games and watch offense, defense, and kicking, and they got some good specialists in terms of their punt returner, kicker, punter, and then really on offense, they got a good skill set. There's a good receiving core there, the 1-2 punch with the backs, and their offensive line is strong and solid. You're talking about you got names
Veterans
across the board, all vets. and they play with good technique and their sound, and then Trevor's, does a really good job of distributing the ball to that skill. And you can see that in the last game for sure. Defensively, they got a front that's needs can wreck the game for sure.
Josh Allen, Hines, Walker, he had 3 sacks.
Armstead, all those guys are there, and so that always creates a problem for an offense.
All right, well, good luck with the prep. Enjoy your travels to London, and hope you get a little time to just relax for a minute on the plane.
All right,
enjoy. Thank you.
Yep.
Tom, did you like how I threw in the NFC North? He had a little look in his eye because defense is big right now in the NFC North. And no, it doesn't matter now, like he says, but it's certainly going to matter when Week 11 and beyond comes into play.
Matt is so emotionally even-keeled that when you throw a stat about the NFC North, it doesn't surprise him, and he's glad that he's a part of it. And so I think that's the exciting element to this division is there's a lot of good football teams. And as the Bears continue to wind this thing up and get ready for the division down the road, this Jacksonville game is another major step because you kind of put the players out there that they have, the pass rushers, the offense, the weapons they have. So Bears have to fly to London, get into their rhythm, get into their routine, take care of business, and again, continuously watch the evolution of Caleb Williams.
All right, let's talk about Caleb because we talked about it at the line of scrimmage. You talked about that second drive of the second half. It was another swift Sunday. He looked good. Also in the passing game, another 100-plus yards from scrimmage. The distribution to the talent, which was one of your keys to the game in our Bears Game Day Live coverage, making sure you get the receivers involved, and they did. And, that's, DJ down the field, I'm going to bet on him 100% of the time.
Me too.
And that happened.
One thing about the Bears personnel, we talked about it so much in the preseason of what it could be and how dynamic of the players there are at the Bears' disposal. But it's not so much of what they can do with it if they don't huddle up. Because when you look at the tempo, Caleb goes up to the line of scrimmage. He barks out a signal with no intentions of snapping the ball. He's just trying to get indicators from the defense. But, the defense hasn't been able to bring new personnel in because you didn't bring any personnel in. So now you got a matchup already in the back of your mind that you think you can take advantage of. That's what I like about the development of Shane Waldron in this offense and the relationship with Caleb Williams is these guys are in control and command of what the next play is going to be, because they already have their personnel on the field that they know they can take advantage of if there's a vulnerability against their opponent.
How impressive is it, and how maybe even surprised are you that Caleb asked for this? He's a rookie quarterback, and he's asking, hey, this is what I want.
Well, he often talks about the tempo that they played at in college, and he played at a major college that had crowds of over 100,000. He's living on a Heisman Trophy reputation that he's got to do things well, and he's got the experiences within his mind and system that he knows what he likes to do. And I think it's be kind of foolish of Shane and Caleb and all the quarterback coaches not to have a conversation of what do you think can help you take the next step forward in the NFL.
We're brought to you by PNC, official bank of the Bears. The types of passes he threw and that screen game, I think, is really going to become a much bigger weapon because, frankly, we saw it throughout the entire offseason and training camp that they did it a lot. If that can click in, what is that going to mean?
First of all, everybody has to have patience. When you run a screen pass efficiently and effectively, you got DeAndre Swift lined up to the left-hand side of Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams takes the snap. Now, he attracts the defensive pressure towards him, but he doesn't get too overzealous. He patiently waits for it to be attracted. And then DeAndre Swift goes from his left to his right. He patiently waits for the pass. And as soon as he gets the pass, now the offensive linemen, they have to have patience as well because they know they can't get downfield before they start their blocks downfield. And then you see the left guard and the center take off, and now there's two personal escorts for DeAndre Swift that's marching him 40-plus yards downfield. The patience within the play is the reason the play is so successful. But that's why it's one of the hardest players to develop because it takes all these,
parts.
Yeah, all these moving parts to be patient in order to run successfully.
Well, what's the counterpunch then by a defense if that starts happening? And what if there's a defense? I mean, some defenses maybe are not equipped to stop the screen. It could be linebackers who can't get off the hash marks or whatever the case may be.
It's about the defensive lineman reading the release of the offensive lineman so quickly that then they get out in the flat and then they're already waiting bodies. And that's why patience is such an important part on the role of the offensive players, especially the offensive linemen, because you're almost counting to yourself. Okay, you call a screen in the huddle break. You know what the count is. And as I go to block you, I'm going 1,001, 1,002, release. And you're actually counting to yourself as an offensive lineman. But then you're not selling it to the defensive lineman too quickly where they just take off laterally rather than rushing the quarterback.
Tom, what can you build off the threat of a screen if you don't throw the screen? What is it a complete buffet of options?
Listen, I think Matt said it while you guys were talking. When you have a screen, you still have wide receivers that are running full speed routes down the field because they're trying to drag the defensive backs off the line of scrimmage. So say that these defensive linemen go out to the flat immediately to intercept DeAndre Swift. You got quality wide receivers that are running downfield with man coverage. So you're going to throw a ball to DJ Moore with man coverage, to Keenan Allen, to Roma Dunze, to Cole Kmet. Okay, instead of running it for 40 yards, now you got the ball in the hands of a receiver at 20 yards with a full head of speed.
All right, Caleb, the first Bears quarterback with 2 300-yard games and 2 passing touchdowns as a rookie, and the most passing yards through 5 games as a Bears rookie. He's over 1,000 yards throwing the football now for the Bears. I know it's just numbers. It's just numbers right now. 5 weeks, they had 9 yards a catch against the Panthers, 15.2 yards a catch. Now let's talk about the running game. It's last in the league in yards per carry right now at 3.43.
Right.
Now, that was obvious because of the negative run plays, which the Bears still lead the league in negative rushing yards. And negative plays, period. But it's cleaning up. So I see that arrow going up, not down, and that's a great sign as well.
Okay, 3.4 you say, right?
Yep.
What's our goal?
4.
4 point, okay?
Not that far away, Tom.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're not that far away. And if you look a couple of the outside zone runs by DeAndre Swift, unbelievable block by Cole Kmet. Then you got Braxton Jones and Gerald Everett leading it upfield. And then you think of the patience that it takes to have those outside zone runs run successfully. You got the back that can do it in DeAndre Swift. If you want to have a point of attack run inside the shoulders of the tackles, you have 2 guys there in Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. So again, 4 yards a carry. Don't be foolish and think it's about a touchdown every time you touch the ball. If you average 4 yards a carry and compliment Caleb what he's doing, you're talking about getting into a playoff race.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, right here at home, driving access toward healthier communities through it all. Let's talk more about the defense now because the secondary is living up to its reputation that we are giving it. We call them the heartbeat of the team. We call it the swag of the team. And whether it's Tyreek, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Kyler Gordon, Brisker, Byard, Jalen Jones coming in, you name it. I just think it's one of the best secondaries in the NFL. They can do it all.
I agree.
They really can do it all.
Super well coached, complemented by upfront pass pressure. They're all willing to contribute on special teams if they're a starter or if they're in a backup role. So I think it's really important that these guys have that group camaraderie that they'll do for this team whatever needs to be done and do it successfully. When you talk about, you always use the word deployment, and you can't say it enough because wherever they come from, you better be aware of them because Kyler Gordon's a sneaky blitzer and he doesn't give it away beforehand. And you saw what happened the other day when he successfully resulted in a sack. And it's, again, good discipline by the defensive back.
Which leads us to the Geico Brings Your More Football stat of the day. The Bears defense has allowed just 1 wide receiver to catch a touchdown pass in 5 weeks. That's pretty significant given some of the receivers in this game. Nico Collins, week 2, all of 28 yards. Pretty impressive. That's your stat of the day. Brought to you by Geico. Keep sealing them off. I mean, keeping them out of the end zone has been a key. Now 11 straight games of 21 points or less. And I don't know, that's pretty significant right there. And the pressure on Andy Dalton was great. The Dexter sack, the Billings, Gordon, DeMarcus Walker involved, Booker on his sack on Bryce Young. But I got to talk more about the Billings sack because he was genuinely like a little kid after the game. He was smiling ear to ear. He's a very serious guy.
Yeah.
Every day. He just loved the fact that he got through and tackled Andy Dalton.
Well, sometimes that's the most difficult sack to make. When you're gifted the opportunity that you can sack the quarterback, are you a good enough athlete at 6'2", 315 pounds to chase down a quarterback that has escapability still in his system? He didn't allow that to happen with Andy Dalton, was able to catch him, control him, and with strength bring him to the ground. So, all gratitude towards Billings for that play, because I think he's got a major role in the success of this defense.
And he's well respected.
Hell yeah,
I mean,
is.
I asked TJ Edwards after the game, what was more impressive? His plays, tracking down backs or receivers in the flat and making a sure tackle without a lot of yards after contact, the Billings sack, or the Byard, the way he intercepted that pass. He went right to Billings.
Yeah.
With respect to Byard and everything, he goes, no, Big Bill. They love that guy.
Man, he does a lot of grunt work
Yes.
that is rarely you're congratulated for. But, man, hey, congratulations, Big Bill. Get more.
Steinhoffels is an employee-owned furniture and mattress store. Visit any of their 4 Chicagoland locations in Vernon Hills, Crystal Lake, Downers Grove, and Harwood Heights, or shop online at steinhoffels.com. What am I missing? What did you see on tape that we're not talking enough about? What piques your curiosity down on either side of the ball or special teams right now?
I like the way that Bill Murray came in and played, because I didn't know a lot about Bill Murray. I still don't. I'd like to see more out of him. And I think whenever you make that conversion from a defensive lineman to an offensive lineman, and then you're not told days in advance or plays in advance that your time has come. All of a sudden someone gets hurt and you're in the game. And congratulations to Bill Murray to play at a high level. Cole Kmet's blocking, because I still think he's a very valuable receiver that should be used as often as possible. But he made a couple blocks in the last couple weeks that were the main reason why the play was so successful. And I think that's got to be a key ingredient, because if we talk about good tight ends around the league, we probably talk about blocking as much as we do about pass catching. Cole had a great catch yesterday, a 25-yarder, a dime by Caleb. But to me, I'm more impressed with a couple of blocks he's made over the last couple of weeks to spring DeAndre Swift for big plays.
And there's a couple wham blocks, and explain to the average fan who doesn't really know what that means, what a wham block is.
A wham block is a vicious block. You're a tight end. You're lined up outside shoulder of the right tackle. You come in motion to your left. Now, you're going to block a defensive lineman, a guy that outweighs you and is as big as you. And so then Cole has to efficiently put his body in position where he makes it the lengthiest challenge to the defensive lineman to try to get around him. And he's done it super efficiently on at least 3 of them in the last couple weeks. But yesterday, he had a block on the end man on the line of scrimmage on an outside zone play, was really created the seam for DeAndre Swift to get around. And he did have Braxton Jones and Gerald Everett in front of him, but it was the block by Cole Kmet that made the play successful.
Vizzy Hard Seltzer, flavors for every vibe. Celebrate responsibly. Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. All right, you already touched on your experience going to London. This will be your 3rd trip as a broadcaster. Put yourself in as a player. Forget being a broadcaster. What are the benefits of going early? The challenges of a trip like this in general. It's becoming more commonplace, so people expect it. Players expect it. Jacksonville is very used to it, so better to face them on the front end. They play New England the week after, and they'll have had 2 weeks to spend there. Trevor Lawrence, though, has been on record saying, I don't like spending 2 weeks, away from home. And that's a challenge in and of itself for family reasons and whatnot. Give us your perspective.
This is a Bears football team. They like each other's company.
Yes, they do.
And when you're kind of isolated in a hotel that you're going to stay at that's not surrounded by the attraction of downtown London, I think you have an opportunity to become closer, to have that camaraderie in the friendship that makes you a better football team. Get your work done. Understand this is the regular season. Get out there. Have that day of rest. Get yourself kind of acclimated to the different time change. Set your sights on winning, because that's the only thing is going to make you feel satisfied about the accomplishment of this trip. I don't think anybody is going to go there and, I want to go to London every year as an active player. No, but I needed this trip to be successfully done because they have a good football team. They have some good weapons, and I think the Bears are – God, they're just creating an opportunity where they're gaining a lot of respect around the National Football League. No matter who you listen to or who you watch, they're starting to talk really nice things about the Bears. You may want to see them, but like Matt's approach to the microphone, just make sure you're working to get better.
And it's going to feel almost like a week of training camp. It's not going to be training camp practices, and it's going to feel like it did when we faced the Colts in Indy, and we spent a couple of days there to practice with the Colts, and it was very much team bonding. Little things like, at Indianapolis, they brought food trucks in, and all these guys just having a good time, having different types of food, and just after practice at night, just gathering together. So I think that's what it'll take on that feel, right? Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, because I think they're doing it the right way. They're doing the travel. They're going to get there. They're going to give the guys a chance to get used to it. The first time that we went to London, we got off the plane. We had carried our equipment with us. We put our equipment on. We went across the street to the park from the hotel we stayed in. We had practice, and then we tried to get – then we just tried to get into the rhythm of London. So – there's no perfect way to do it. There's always an experimental way that you're trying differently.
I just think going there early, though, it gets it all out of the way. Because you're going to get there Tuesday morning, 8:30. By the time you get all settled, they have the day to do whatever. There will be a bus. They can go down to downtown London if they want, see the sights. I don't know. And then Wednesday, walk through. It's not like a full. Yeah. And then you get into it. And you should be catching up on sleep at that point. Yeah, I mean, although we know, because you and I don't sleep well, when you don't, if you pull an all-nighter, the boomerang hits you a couple days later.
We've gone extreme east, and all the trips at London, Germany, Sweden, Ireland, England, a few times now, I've always had really bad time getting used to the time change. Really? So
You've traveled more across the world than I have.
Yeah, I know.
Holy
I'm going there with an open mind. But there's nothing more that would make me happier getting on the plane right after the game than the Bears win.
And that's another key. We're going home right away.
Yeah.
So that's good. Back here and have a good bye week for everybody. All right, let's
dress
talk.
warm. It's going to be 40 degrees when we land.
Well, it's going to be in the 50s out there and rain the first 3 days, I guess. So bring your rain jacket before we get on the bus. All right, let's talk about the Jaguars to wrap things up. I mentioned to Matt a career-high passing day for Trevor Lawrence in yards. The offense overall, though, has had big pass plays. They may have struggled, but they have had big 23 20-plus yard plays. That's fourth in the NFL. So you pick your poison here. Brian Thomas Jr., he's got the most targets. He and Christian Kirk have combined for 28 first downs. And they've got a running attack. They got Tank Bigsby hitting over 100 in their game yesterday. Travis Etienne, he's gained 53% of his 4-plus yards on first down. That's fifth best in the NFL. And they are averaging almost 6 yards a carry on first down. That is third in the NFL. So offensively alone, that's a lot to deal with. Evan Ingram, the tight end, he's only played one game, so he's a dangerous guy too.
Listen, I played with Doug Peterson in Miami, and his influence of his coaching life is a lot through Don Shula, Dan Marino. And so a lot of his understanding of the passing game and how you want to work against a good defense is with quickness and accuracy. So that's what I think you're going to see out of Trevor Lawrence. It's not going to be drop back 7 yards, hold the ball for 5 seconds plus, and try to get that. That's quarterback suicide.
He's not been accurate this year, though.
I know. But, Doug Peterson is a former quarterback himself. He's been in Green Bay. He's been around Don Shula. So he's got a wide variety of offenses that he can pull out of his memory Rolodex from. And if he sees something that he feels that he can capitalize against the Bears defense, you're going to see it attempted repeatedly.
Big game for the tackles for the Bears because Josh Allen Hines, a 17.5 sack season last year. He's on a streak of 23 consecutive games with a quarterback pressure. That's 10th all-time in the National Football League since they've been tracking that. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He may only have a couple of sacks now, but he's a presence, and he's a top 10 pick. And then on the other side, Trevon Walker, 3 sacks in that win yesterday over the Colts. He was a number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft in 2022, if you might remember. These two guys alone have my attention.
Yeah. Matt Pryor playing right guard, I think he gives a lot of interior confidence to Darnell Wright on the right-hand side. He goes, look, you just make sure that you stay in an attackable position. I'll be able to help the center control the block and come out and make sure I guard you. Just a lot of what I did throughout my career. And then the other side, whomever plays left guard, I think they're developing a relationship over there as well. Braxton, don't feel that you're on an island. You have a tight end to your outside. You have a back in the backfield, and you have a guard to your inside. So this isn't a two-man job. This is respect the protection called in the huddle and make sure that you formulate your plan accordingly.
Now, the Jaguars have given up a lot of points, 81 in the first half. That's second most in the NFL. So the Bears, you want to get a quick start, make them thinking they're not able to finish the job here. And then red zone, they've been destroyed as well. So these are opportunities for scoring.
And I look at Caleb being able to use a verbal cadence. No matter how many fans Jacksonville has, I think the Bears will be equally as supported. Yeah. So I think that you're going to be able to have a command center from the voice of the quarterback.
At these games, you see uniforms of every team. They're just going to enjoy the football game. That's a key delineation there. You're right. I bet he'll be able to do that.
I really believe that's going to be the case. It's a perfect atmosphere for playing football out there. Not the best broadcast booth because I know that you don't like to be enclosed.
No.
So
I feel like a trapped like a rat.
Like an aquarium.
The bottom line is I want to feel my people.
Yeah.
I want to feel the crowd, and we hear it because Paul Zarang puts the mic outside. But yeah, it just feels, I don't know. You got to almost ramp up your intensity, and that's why I'll have ringing in my ears on the way home because I ask for the sound to be super high so I can feel like I'm in the thick of the crowd. That's just a play-by-play's nuance.
They make medicine for that now.
I hope so because I have it 24/7. I heard that's not ever repairable, but that's the life of being in the business for 40 years. And you know that as well. Don't you have that?
No.
You do not have ringing in the ears. Tom, what's it going to be like for you to deal with me for a whole week on the road? It's tough enough for one day.
Yeah, you work so hard that I'll just wait till we go and get the meal shuttle.
Right, but just make sure I don't lose anything.
No worry.
That's the big key. Good news, Chicago. Good news, Chicago. United Airlines getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. Special thanks to Matt Eberflus. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. See you in London, everybody, and bear down.